Welcome in to Pay Dirt Sports. This is Will Dundon here with Seth Coggin and Nick Trushel. Pay Dirt Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Big weekend, especially in golf. Obviously, had the Masters this past weekend. Scheffler pretty much ran away with it.
He really did.
He was up there day one, and then day two, I feel like, kind of set himself apart from the rest of the pack, and then just finished out. Had that legendary, was it a 4-putt or a 3-putt on the last hole?
3-putt. Yeah, 3-putt, I think.
He just was burning edges, but hey, when you're up 6 strokes or whatever,
yeah,
it
doesn't matter.
So,
and I tried to squeeze in a plus 300 Cam Smith live bet on Sunday, but didn't happen.
Wasn't meant to be. 12 got him.
None of my Masters picks went through, but hey, you win some, you lose some. It was fun. I rode with Tiger, obviously. I was going to be a big winner if Tiger pulled it off. But like we said, the fact that Tiger made the cut, I really saw it. As a lot of people did, those third and fourth rounds were really tough for him. But you could tell, I felt like third round, honestly, I think he was just fatigued at that point. Obviously there was a lot of it was putting. He had a really bad putting day. But even I noticed it on Sunday, it seemed like there were times where I saw him walking. You could definitely tell he was favoring kind of that right leg of his, and then had to walk kind of with the golf club as a cane type thing. But again, I'm impressed that the guy even got out there, and I saw enough that I was like, Tiger can still win tournaments. I don't know when that's going to happen, but he showed me enough of his skill and like being able to put balls close at times. He's still got it. I think, especially as he kind of gets used to how he's feeling, I can still see Tiger making a comeback. And he made his comeback, but I can still see him competing for tournaments going forward.
Yeah. I think about the final day pairing. Tiger was paired on the 4th round at Augusta National with Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm was the betting favorite to win. Like, Jon Rahm is there every week. Tiger kind of fell off in that last round. His walking 4 straight days for him, like playing, is just incredible. Incredible, yeah. Dude. But he's 14 runs removed from, like, they're telling him you got to amputate your legs. Maybe, a possibility, but that's on the table. And then he's playing at Augusta, paired with the betting favorite on Sunday at the Masters. And they both kind of weren't in serious contention, but it still was meaningful for Tiger to walk up 18, like playing well enough to make the cut, to be in the mix. That means he's really, still one of the top players on the planet. Just he walks onto the golf course in whatever condition he's in, and he can still compete at such a high level. And maybe not at a championship level yet. I still think he probably has that in him. I seriously do. If he can, if he can just kind of keep on that upward trajectory of, recovering and everything, his body's going to be fine. Like, his swing is so much more simple and easy these days, it feels like, but he's still so as effective. And I think once he kind of works out a way to treat his body, like, that's what got him in some of these body physical problems, is just the way he attacked golf. Like, no one had, like, just trying to create incredible torque and power. And that's how he kind of separated himself. But now he's kind of evolved his game to separate himself in ways like he was really good around the green a lot of the time. And, Augusta's such a hard place to just, like, jump in cold to putting at Augusta and, like, the Masters in that tournament setting. He's still, if he could find a way to really make a few putts one weekend, like get really hot, I definitely think Tiger could still. That's where he holds an edge. I think he'll evolve into more of a, like, not short driver, but pretty consistent, solid drives where he has a good iron. As long as he can stay in the fairway with his driver, he really could be golden. That's where he got lost. His last kind of comeback he was just off. He was awful wild with the driver and just having to get himself in too many save situations. Like, nah, just play it straight and, like, be really dialed in around the greens and with your irons. So I don't know. Well, yeah, it was fun to watch him play. Scotty Scheffler was amazing.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler was dominant. Number 1 player in the world that no one really knew about, and then comes out and just dominates the Masters. It's baller.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that about the driver because I mentioned this last week, but when Tiger kind of first made his comeback the last time around, and I talked about how he almost won that PGA championship before he ended up winning the Masters, that last round when he was really going off, he didn't hit a single fairway. And it was all highlights of Tiger hitting these crazy shots out of
Unreal.
the straw, the rough, everything. But no, yeah, Seth, I agree because you saw it too. I mean, with all the players, the Masters greens, all the slopes and everything, guys are hitting it on the green and they're hitting the wrong slopes or they have a little too much backspin on it and balls are just rolling right off the green. He's got enough finesse still to make that stuff work. And he was hitting drives 320 plus at times. I mean, if you can do that, you're good. So yeah, I think that's kind of what you look at when a guy gets older too, is does he still have the power? Can he still get it there, get to the par fives in 3 at times when you need to? And he's still hitting it far enough to do that. So yeah, I agree with that. But Scheffler, man, finishing it was a stat I saw. I forget which high school it is. Y'all may have seen this. I want to say
It was Highland Park. You talking
What is
about
it?
down there in Dallas?
Yeah, in Texas.
Talking about Highland
Have
Park.
They've produced Kershaw, Stafford, I think another guy, and Scheffler, all from that high school.
That's
and
insane.
Kershaw and Stafford were the same class. Like imagine walking the halls 2006 senior year and you got Clayton Kershaw and Matt Stafford.
Ridiculous. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, good for Scheffler. Someone else put out the stat just like a few weeks ago, 0 wins or anything, just like a few million. And I think 5 million career winnings. And now you fast forward to this week and he's got a couple tournament wins, a major, and his career winnings has tripled since what he had.
He's gone since his first win. He's won 4 out of 6 tournaments, including a runaway at the Masters. He is just on another dialed in level to put that many consistent rounds back to like that is he is obviously an exceptional player, and then he's he's just on another kind of tear that's just like hard to replicate. It would be hard. It's like the best of the best. Tiger Woods had a few of those kind of tears where you're just like winning every turn. And if he could continue it, I mean, he shot up to world number 1. He's 25.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's 25.
Yeah.
And he's already doing this. I mean, theoretically, he's going to get better with a lot of years to come, but we'll see.
I could see this as a flash in the pan. I mean, we very regularly see golfers get hot for a year or two and then drop off the face of the planet. So I'm not saying this is for sure going to happen, but I'm not sold on them yet.
Well, it depends, right? Because I think
yeah.
Right now, especially, we have a ton of this like really young crop of golfers.
Yeah.
With guys like him and Morikawa, and
Zalatoris.
Yeah, Zalatoris, and I'm not sure how old Cam Smith is. I don't think he's too old either.
Cantley's pretty young, isn't he?
Yeah,
or is he a little bit older?
I'm not sure, but we've seen it before too. You go back a few years.
Spieth, he fell off like.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It depends on what
he's still around.
Fell off because.
He's won tournaments recently.
Like he went cold for a while, but now it's like he's still getting back to where he's the favorites in a lot of these tournaments. Now he's got to win one again and kind of get back in there. But yeah, I guess it goes all the way back to Rory winning that. I think it was the US Open, the first one he run back when he was early 20s at least. And then obviously, I mean, Tiger did it in 97, but it hadn't really been done a whole lot before and not a whole lot after. But when Rory did that, we see a lot of these young guys. I mean, Jon Rahm's not that old. You look at the top 10 in the world, and it's a lot of guys in their 20s for sure. But even, you get 25 and under in there. So I don't know. I mean, Scheffler, he's hot. Maybe he keeps going. I don't think he's going to fall off exactly. And I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think he's necessarily going to slow down. I mean, he seems pretty dialed in. And I don't know. He seems like he's very even keel, never gets too high or too low. And I think that's what helps a lot. You see a guy like Spieth who, I mean, at times has just blown up or gotten super cold, super high. He's kind of all over the place. And I guess you could call it mental game. I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to. And Scheffler just seems like a very even keel guy that isn't going to get super bothered by where he is in the standings, just kind of goes out there, plays his game. I mean, he held on to that lead and he stayed. Once he got to 10 under, he kind of hung around there, went up and down a little bit, but finished off right around there. If it wasn't for the 3-putt or 4-putt at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, also, obviously, guys had the college basketball national championship last week. Got a couple.
Yeah.
Going to talk about that real quick, but also got a couple storylines just in the college basketball world. Trushel, I'm going to toss it over to you, kind of talk about the national championship real quick.
The first thing I want to talk about is the right side, right kind of mid-range area on the court. In the second half, both Manic and Baycott fell on that exact same spot. Now, I'm not saying there's anything crazy going on, but first of all,
there's crazy things go on in New Orleans, man. Crazy things happen in New Orleans.
For Baycott, I mean, he's driving to the rim. He's been hot. There's a good chance he makes that layup, busts his ankle that he was already fighting through. Miracle happens. That idiot from Kansas steps out of bounds when they have the game in hand. Shout out to Bad Beat -4 Kansas for stepping out of bounds, but they actually drew up that play for Manic, and you saw him slip on that same spot where Baycott hurt himself, and really I want to say it was RJ Davis that got the shot. It actually looked pretty good, but on TV, I think it was an air ball. It looked good on TV though. Nothing you can be mad about if you're a North Carolina fan. I mean, first year head coach, hell of a run. You got to love Hube. Baycott's coming back for another year. A good, very young core group of guys that I think are going to be a lot better team next year. So, Kansas, you got to hand it to them. I mean, they pulled off the biggest comeback in NCAA finals game history. They were down 16 at one point, and North Carolina had not lost one game this year while leading at half, and their first one just happened to be the national championship. So rough night for UNC. But yeah, I mean, that's really all the insight that I had. We did get to do a Twitter space, which was pretty fun. We had a few different listeners come in, and we got to chat it up. So we'll be looking for more of those Twitter spaces in the future here, as some of those bigger games you want to hop on and chat a little bit and do that. But that's pretty much all I got for the finals. Do you guys have anything else to add? Because I got some stuff for Vols basketball too.
I want to give Bill Self his flowers. I was a hater. Not even a hater, just like didn't really like him. I still really don't, but he did coach a good ball game. To win a tournament and to win two. I often define kind of elevated people when they can do it in different eras. Like if you can win a championship in one era, kind of evolve into a different scenario and still win it and win another championship. Like, you can be really good and capture something in a small period of time and win something, but like to actually sustain something in two. So for him to win a championship in 2008 and then now circle back and, and still win the Big 12 a bunch of times, like obviously has kept it just so solid. And then to win another national championship, it's pretty impressive. Congratulations. That's all I got.
He's in that special club now. He's got multiple natties.
Yeah, he's got
a lot of guys don't have two. So,
yep.
I mean, yeah, respect to Bill Self.
But we coming for you next year. All right. That's all I'm saying is we coming for you.
Yeah. Like Trushel was saying though, I mean, if you're a North Carolina fan, I mean, I may be speaking out of turn because I'm not a North Carolina fan. They probably aren't satisfied with much less than championships. But I think if you're in that position where, I don't know, I assume you weren't expecting a whole lot, at least in the middle of the year, maybe towards the end, and you felt like you were getting hot, you're expecting a little more. But I mean, pad the stats, add it to the resume, another Final Four appearance, another Final Four win, national championship appearance.
They beat Duke in Final Four to end Coach K's career. That's better than any national championship. That truly is better. Like, just because of what that moment meant, and to do it in the Final Four, the first time you've ever played in the tournament, like you in Coach K's career. You won the national champ. I mean, you kind of had that kind of event in that national stage. Like, yeah, you lost the national championship on Monday night, but like Saturday night was awesome. Like,
Yeah, and you stymied him. You made sure he doesn't have a winning record against you now. Like you take that off the
put
table.
him down to 500. And I spoke with Dougie V to get his Douglas Valentine, pay dirt listener, big UNC fan, to get his kind of interpretation on how he felt. And pretty much spot on. He was like, I mean, we lost, but the national championship was the Duke game. So we'll take that win, and you can't ask for more. So I think that's spot on, you guys, with how UNC fans are feeling.
I didn't
know Baycott was coming back next year either. I think that's huge because
he's a junior. But
okay.
So there's a couple of mock drafts that have him going in the second round, I think, but there's a pretty good chance he comes back. So I will say, I don't want to get ahead of myself. There's a chance he goes to the NBA, but I believe he does have, there is a shot he'll come back.
Yeah. The only other thing too, we talked about the floor issue, and if you saw the video on Twitter, especially when Baycott was on there, I mean, the problem was there were loose floorboards.
Yeah, it bent.
And I'm not
need to get LP in there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Official floor.
And I'm not one to, throw the game on that or anything, but it obviously did have a big effect. Yeah. But I think more than anything, regardless of how much it affected the outcome of the game, how do you have loose floorboards
for the national
at the national championship?
Yeah. Nah, how do you play? You play every regular season game in front of a crowd of 20,000 or less. But hey, let's play the most important games of the year in a stadium, an arena 4 times the size of just in an area so uncommon to the game of basketball, on a like put together like Lego court in front of in the deepest arena you've ever seen. Like, how are you? That's what we're gonna put our best That's where we're going to put our best basketball games of the year, and just this place created for, but that's kind of the spectacle of it. Like putting it in this grand arena, the court, that's an issue though. That's kind of what I'm going back to. All right, if we're going to do this, if you're going to build this temporary court, but they build a lot of those courts, and they build the basketball court for SEC tournaments, stuff like that every day or every weekend. On top of the ice, they do this stuff all the time, but it sucks that it had to be an issue in the, national championship game.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're kind of looking forward to next season. We do have, I want to get Seth's take on this. It looks like
Arkansas,
Trushel, baby. Yeah, you have the stats, but Arkansas up there with the favorites to be number 1 in the nation. Seth, just tell us a little bit about how you feel about it, what you're thinking, what guys, if there's any guys you're worried about not coming back or guys that are coming back, how you feel about being number 1, what you think, man?
It feels good to be number 1. A little unsatisfying. You haven't actually won anything, but being number 1 at the start of the year gives you the opportunity to be number 1 at the start and the finish and become a truly great team. You know what I mean? The truly great teams are the teams they expect to be great, and they even kind of exceed those expectations. So to have a chance to be, one of the greatest of all time, I'll take those expectations in May, in April. Got a lot of new faces again next year, but we had 10 new faces this year plus, and made the Elite Eight again. And this year we would have a much even more talented group of incoming guys. Devo's staying. So Devo's kind of our 6th man this year, but a very important piece of the team. Very active player offensively and defensively. Hopefully he can get his offensive game up a little bit. I think they tried to make him a point guard this year, which probably wasn't really his forte, but we'll have some solidified point guards. We got 3 5-star guys coming in. 5, but even bigger than that, you got 5 guys in the class, 5 top 100 players. So that's pretty incredible.
That's a
Three
damn good
McDonald's
class.
All-Americans, three McDonald's All-Americans. Nick Smith Jr. He is from he played last season at North Little Rock. He's from Central Arkansas, so he's a Arkansas guy. Who else we got? We got Anthony Black. He's gonna kind of be the point guard, hopefully. Really impressive guy out of Texas. It was between Gonzaga and Arkansas. So those were kind of his final two. And, I think the Hogs kind of taking care of the Zags in the Sweet 16 there definitely helped sway him. He's coming in with some other guys. Him and Jordan Walsh, just a incredibly talented forward. And then we've gotten in the transfer portal. So we have the numbered 2 recruiting class in high school. Out of high school with 3, possible kind of one and done type players. They probably all won't go one and done, but they might. They're kind of on that level. And then the number 1 transfer class in the country. We've landed coveted transfer portal guys, older guys. That's kind of Muss's formula. Fill the roster with very talented incoming guys. And that's not even to mention. I'm not even mentioning several guys in the class. We got 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year from Alabama, 4-star, and we got 2-time Gatorade Player Darian Ford, 4-star from Arkansas. These are these would normally be just great pillars of your program, and they're just kind of, I hate to call them afterthoughts because they're not. They're fantastic basketball players in their own right, and probably going to prove. The rankings only mean, they don't mean squat once you're on campus. Once you're in games and everything, who cares? So they're all gonna get some play. Got the twin brothers, 7-footers from Rhode Island. I mean, what? we're getting twin 7-foot centers. They're they all the bigs now are multi-versatile and doing everything. Got a potential NBA guy from Missouri, just scooped probably their highest. Literally, this was Missouri's probably most looked forward to prospect in the coming years. Transfers out and we just pick him up. A little addition. An all Pac-12 player, Jalen Graham from Arizona State. They're just adding just weapons. But the last decision is Jalen Williams. So Jalen Williams, all SEC player this year, just a fantastic pillar for us, creates offense and defense. So his decision kind of remains out there. He is probably a future NBA player. I would project him I hope he comes back, just personally. I hope he comes back just because he's very talented and he runs our offense and orchestrates our defense very well. He's an extension of Muss out on the court, which is what you really need in a leader of a championship level team. We need a guy like that to really be an anchor. That would put us a legitimate number 1. Arkansas is the team to beat with this roster. And that's the crazy thing that Muss has done, is just elevate the talent on the roster. Whatever happens next year is, whatever happens. Hopefully it's good and it has the potential to be great. But even having the expectation that you've assembled enough talent on your team to be this good, and we trust in your coach enough. Muss has gone 2 straight Elite Eights, so it's pretty good. It's an exciting time to be a Razorback basketball fan, and that's really what this state loves basketball. It's a rabid basketball fan base that is passionate about the program. So when people get electrified on the basketball, it kind of flows to other stuff too. Pretty good time. Baseball's pretty good. They had dropped a tough series in Gainesville, but it's a long season. The Vols got all the hype and all the talk this year, deservedly so. Arkansas is just chilling under the radar. We're just swimming along, going to get our national top 8 seed and hopefully see y'all in Omaha. That's what I'm calling.
That'd be sweet. I mean, kind of going along with that college basketball narrative, though, Tennessee in this past week has lost a little bit of talent.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kennedy Chandler first. I mean, obviously.
Well, actually 3, really. Because Kennedy Chandler going to the NBA, Brandon Huntley Hatfield probably going to go to Georgetown, and then Sky Clark, who was a 2023 recruit all signs were pointing towards Tennessee, and he flipped to Illinois. So rough week for Vols college basketball.
Yeah, and at least with Chandler, I mean, I was expecting that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's
was
projected what,
hope,
top 15, top
yeah,
20 at
there was
least, right?
hope he was coming back, but I think most people knew he was gone.
Yeah, and I mean, good for him. That was his plan coming into this.
Yeah.
So glad it worked out for him and everything. Going to be a huge, definitely going to miss him a lot. But luckily, I mean, you have guards there. You have still Vescovy and Ziegler, obviously, still
Yeah.
playing there. But Trushel, I want to get your take a little bit on the whole Huntley Hatfield situation, because he's a guy who got more minutes as the year went on.
It's weird.
Well, and what I heard, I mean, obviously he got more minutes with Nkamwa getting hurt and everything, but then kind of solidified his role a little bit as a good role player, and I guess started some games. Am I right in that? Yeah. So,
and we're losing Fulkerson too, so you'd think more minutes.
Well, yeah, and because what I heard was him and Barnes never got on the same page, which to me is, I again, like, I liked what I saw from him and everything, and I think he had potential to be a really good player. But when you have a situation like that where a star recruit, especially, and I mean, a player in general, him and the head coach can't get on the same page, especially with the way so many players love Rick Barnes, I think you're probably just better off parting ways if you're going to have issues like that. I mean, nothing, usually it is a big loss in a way, but at the same time, if it's going to be issues with your head coach, it's kind of like, okay, it's probably better off you just go ahead and leave anyway.
And even speaking to that, so it sucks that he's gone, but what really turned around Tennessee's basketball season was going the small ball route. So really losing a big guy when clearly small ball and shooting the three and kind of running those smaller lineups works better. We're going to get Kamwa back. Honestly, I like you said, I really don't think it's going to have that big of an effect. And then, I mean, there's so much time to recruit and plenty of guys out there in the transfer portal. So I trust in the Deacon to take care of things.
Yeah, and that's what I think Tennessee people are expecting them to be ranked at around the top 10. And some fans were excited, some didn't really care. I think it is kind of for at least Tennessee fans, you know, there's going to be hype. You're a good basketball team still. I think the roster you have as it is right now, you still have a lot of talent, like we just mentioned, some of the players that will be back. But it'll be, rankings are irrelevant for Tennessee fans for next year, especially. I mean, obviously the season's a long way away. The season just ended.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's enough there to be excited, but it's definitely going to be, hey, we need results, that kind of thing.
And we already have BJ Edwards, 4-star guard, coming in from Knox Catholic. So it sucks we lose Sky Clark. We still have another a big point guard coming in next year. So it is what it is. I'm looking up some of the prospects here because I want to see some of these other potential things going on here. So yeah, nothing too crazy. I mean, obviously the season ended, so not too much information on the transfer portal or recruiting quite yet. But I'm not worried about it. We've got a lot of talent on the team. We've got a lot of guys like Adu and Ziegler that I think can take a big step forward this next year. Kamwa coming back. Yeah, just a bright future for the Vols. But I don't know if you want to talk Huskers basketball, not too much going on there, but I'd be down to talk a little NBA basketball here.
Yeah, the only thing I got from Huskers is our guy Bryce McGowan's first 5-star recruit in history for the Huskers. He's gone, which again made sense. That was his goal all along. He's a very I feel like he's an NBA prospect to a T, just his size and ability. He's super tall, super long and everything, real athletic guy. Played point guard, so that helps a lot too, just being kind of have a little bit of a bigger presence even at that position. He came essentially, I think he came to Nebraska to play with his older brother that was there.
Yeah.
Made sense for him to be one and done. Should have won Big Ten Freshman of the Year won Big Ten Freshman of the Week something like 8 or 10 times and somehow didn't get it. I mean, because the Huskers were not good at basketball this year is what I kind of chalk it up to. But yeah, I mean, Hoiberg, there was a little surge at the end there, got a couple ranked wins, which they hadn't done since I think 2019. So maybe Hoiberg's kind of setting the culture there a little bit. Not super. Husker fans will support every sport to the fullest. All those games are sold out, and they want results, even though we're not a proven basketball program by any means. But again, I mean, it's not just going to be they're not just going to let Hoiberg continue to lose year after year. So hopefully there's going to need to be definite improvement next year. But yeah, again, nothing to really point to, I would say, for me to say, oh, I'm really excited or this is my prediction for next year. Just hopeful improvement, get kind of around that. If he could get around the 500 mark next year, I think a lot of Husker fans would be really happy with that. But yeah, if you want to jump in to the NBA, Trushel, a little news kind of, do we want to talk a little bit about, you want to talk kind of Lakers situation, then we can jump into the Grizz?
So I wanted to, first of all, got a couple of different things to go over NBA. Couple of different coaching changes. So obviously Frank Vogel gone. The Lakers have missed the playoffs, and we can run through the standings here in a minute. So the Timberwolves have extended their coach, Finch, and then the Kings are not bringing back Alvin Gentry. So we got another coach. I mean, Sacramento, they've got a good young core and really underperformed this year. So I think that's the right move. Alvin Gentry has never really been successful or not very successful wherever he's went. So I think that's the right move. The fire behind Vogel, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's LeBron called it all. It's more the organization. I'm just saying it was time for a new voice in the locker room. So that's really, those are the major kind of coaching changes going on. But I did want to kind of do a little quick update of the standings here. Grizzlies locked in at number 2, which is going to be awesome. Excited about that. The Eastern Conference Finals tight finish has finally come to a close here as Miami has clinched the number 1 spot with Tyler Hero coming off the bench. He's going to win 6th Man of the Year. Talking a couple of other kind of odds here. It's looking like Jokic is minus 380 at MVP, so he's going to win back-to-back. And I am missing the odds here for most improved player, but last time I checked, Ja was like minus 450. So he's going to end up winning most improved when I honestly think he should have won MVP. Coach of the year, I'm actually interested to see
Taylor
here.
Jenkins.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It could be Taylor Jenkins.
Probably. I mean, they're him or the Suns.
Yeah, let's see. So Monty Williams. Yeah, it's Monty Williams. So, but wow, Eric Spoelstra ahead. So Taylor Jenkins is 3rd.
Sorry, give him the trophy. We're taking home the Larry O'Brien.
That's right. But that was a quick rundown of kind of everything that is NBA. But I did want to talk about the Grizzlies here. I sent in a tweet earlier to the group here about some cool records that were broken by the Grizzlies.
Read them off
this year. So
who's the source? A random Twitter thread. We're counting.
Yes. At DMeltFan. Thank you for putting this all together, but it's all been confirmed, so we know they're real. Most points scored in a game by a single player in franchise history. That was John Morant against the Spurs, 52. Most blocks by a player in a season in franchise history, the league leader, Jaren Jackson Jr. Most three-pointers made by a player in franchise history, Desmond Bane, who participated in the three-point contest, had 228. Most offensive boards by a player in season franchise history. We all know who that is, Mr. Steven Adams, absolute freak on the glass. Most points by a player in consecutive games in franchise history, 98 by Ja Morant. So that was against the Spurs and I want to say the Bulls. And then they became the first team in NBA history to lead the league in steals, blocks, and rebounds per game. Most away wins, and then I'll close this out here with the longest winning streak in franchise history with 11 games. So, I mean,
What about the
talk
biggest
a
win?
year.
You didn't even mention the biggest win in NBA
Yes,
history.
the biggest win in NBA history. Most point, which included most points in a quarter, 55, most points in a game, franchise history, 152, margin of victory, 73 points.
They beat a team by 73 this year. Like everybody was getting, like, you know how many different players set a franchise record? Like it wasn't just like one person just set, Ja obviously set a few records, but like, nah, Steven Adams led the franchise
first
in, like,
Southwest Division title too. So let's not forget about that.
That's amazing. And they got a lot of opportunity here. They got a lot of opportunity in the Western Conference to make the finals. And if you're there, go win it. I mean, this team's, they're good enough. They think that they're good enough so they are good enough. Like that's kind of how it works. Like they got enough players. They can go toe to toe with anybody. They will not back down. Memphis will be lit for the finals too. Woo!
Yeah.
Finals on Beale Street. Nice.
That's going to be insane. Going to be insane. I did want to drop a cool little breaking news stat I just saw on Twitter here. So according to the University of Tennessee release, Tennessee is now the second Division I program ever to reach number one, in football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and softball. The other program is University of Texas. So both UTs.
Wow, you can't even be the real UT. Even Texas did all that before. The only school to ever do it was Texas. Does that make Tennessee people upset?
I really don't care about
like who's
Texas
the real UT
at all. Well, they wouldn't even be a state if
it wasn't for Tennessee.
Yeah, so I mean, it's completely irrelevant.
See, that always confused my brain when I came to Arkansas here. Like,
because like
25% of the students are from Texas. So like when they pretty much everyone says UT, they're talking about Texas. But it always brought me to Tennessee. Like it just held the same. Like
Knoxville was a school long before, or University of Tennessee was a school long before Texas was. So
yeah, I think
they can gripe all they want. I don't pay attention to it.
No, I think that kind of sets it up right there. And then UT Tennessee used to have we used to have the classic UT logo. I think they still put it on some polos and stuff, but it used to be right there in midfield. And I want to say they actually sold that logo to Texas. Don't quote me on that, but I remember hearing that.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
I heard that years ago, and it makes sense because I've seen Texas use that logo in more recent history. But yeah, I mean, that I don't get too caught up in it. I guess some Vol fans I feel like get really into it, but I mean, it doesn't hold a lot. I don't care a whole lot about it, If they want to call us UTK or something, go for it. That's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But we want to talk a little Vols baseball here, continuing on the volunteer
every week,
trend.
Same story every week, same story.
I mean, my goodness, this team is so much freaking fun to watch. And did you hear they're playing Texas Tech with wooden bats?
Tennessee Tech, I think.
Or Tennessee, yeah. Sorry, they both teams were fine with it. There's going to be some extra windy conditions, so I think to be safe, they need to use these wooden bats. But it's going to be fun. There's still going to be some bombs being hit, I bet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And are they playing in? Yeah, are they playing in the Smoky Stadium? I want to say it's a neutral game or something.
Yeah, I want to say it's a neutral site. That's right.
They should wear like old school uniforms or something.
Yeah,
wooden bats,
old school. Yeah,
everyone rocking stirrups and everything.
Just go as old school as possible. We get the old like flip scoreboard. Yeah, you have to have a scorekeeper up there going on.
Field of Dreams type
Field
stuff.
of Dreams, yeah, Field of Dreams type stuff. That would be freaking awesome.
No, but yeah, I mean they just keep it going. Mike Honcho there with another dinger. coming around. Was Jordan Beck the one who did the home plate tap it with his finger? Did you see that?
I
No, that
did see
was
the highlight, but I don't think it was Jordan Beck. I can't remember.
is that Luke? Was it?
Luke Lipsius or whatever?
Yeah,
It may
it
have
was
been.
him.
Yeah, that
I
might
don't
have been
know.
it.
I saw that video. That was pretty funny.
I think it may have been Luke because it was the same guy who did the check the bat celebration after he hit his home
Yeah,
run. So I
that
think
that was
he's killing
awesome.
it in the celebration department right now. But hey,
Well,
man, and
that's the type of team we are. We have so much swagger.
well, and the nation's getting mad. There are some the baseball traditionalists are not happy with the cockiness and pettiness of the University of Tennessee, and
And they
Tennessee
just
fans,
keep
are just
winning.
eating it up.
And they just keep, and they haven't lost. Like they haven't had to eat crow at all this year because they just kept winning the whole time. Like they
No,
just
not even a
keep
slip
talking
up.
trash, and they keep doing it, and they keep just obliterating everyone. So like if as long as that keeps going, it's very fun. But even if like whatever happens, it's ride the wave while you can. Like let's just while you're trashing everybody, just keep it up.
Yeah, I think
Screw
that's
it.
what Tennessee fans are kind of looking at it as is, hey, we've got a winner. Let's go all in on it. We haven't been, I mean, there were times, don't get me wrong, Tennessee had been to Omaha before. There were times they had really good baseball teams. But the way it looks like they've just built Vitello's really just built this monster that's going to be here for a while. Tennessee fans are all in on riding the wave with it.
Yeah, and I mean, with the renovations coming to Lindsey Nelson, and Vitello kind of seems like that type of guy that wants to build a program and stick around for a long time. And you see that in baseball. You see that with LSU and Florida and Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Guys like to build programs. So I think Tennessee is going to be a powerhouse in baseball for years to come now, which is going to be awesome.
I think
we found our guy.
Yeah, and I think he's set in. I mean, last year we had that scare of wondering if he was going to leave for the LSU job or somewhere else. But he was even more, he even came out and was like, I'm not as big into the salary as just making sure the baseball team is invested into and I can get the resources I need. But at this point, too, I mean, Tennessee's got money and as long as he continues to take teams to Omaha or continues being ranked highly, he's going to get paid as well whenever his contract is up or needs an extension, so I'm not worried about that anymore. I think Vitello's here to stay for sure. But yeah, I just hope they can keep it going. I would hate to see kind of a season like this end early. I really want to get to Omaha again now. He's Seth, kind of how you talked about with basketball like a week or two ago. He's got that expectation now, and anything kind of less than Omaha you're not going to be calling for anyone's job or anything, obviously, but you want to get to Omaha now. That's the expectation, and that's what all the fans are hoping for.
You're number one this late in the season. Your mission is Omaha. And I mean, getting there is one thing, and like your mission, I mean, really you're in a spot to win it. Like, so if you're not even getting to because Omaha's the real tournament. Let's be honest. Like you have to get there. That's a threshold. Like it evens the playing field. That's kind of when the real tournament starts, right? So to not even get in the tournament is a huge failure. That's what Arkansas faced last year. Number one all season, win the SEC, win the tournament, and then not even make it to Omaha. Like not even make it to the real tournament.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we talked about a couple weeks ago. The Omaha kind of is in a way like the Final Four for March Madness. Like you have everything else, but then once you get there, it is kind of a different. It's a field of its own for sure. But yeah, I mean, I hope they can go in and win it. We'll see what happens. So we talked about this too. Still, I can't ever remember how all the tournament stuff works before Omaha. But so there are like single elimination games, correct? Or is it all double elimination? How it works?
Well, it's single. So in the regional, it's a double elimination tournament of 4, right? And then super regional, it's a series.
Okay.
And then back to Omaha, it's another double elimination tournament and then a series in the finals.
Okay, that's good to know then, because that would just be my nightmare is you get caught one game slipping. But yeah, that's good to know then. Because I think, with that setup, I just don't see the Vols losing multiple games to a team. Now we'll see once they get later in, especially when they get into the regional and super regional, depending on the quality of opponent they play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, and we played some tough teams so far and done it, but once you get to Omaha, all bets are off. And everybody's going to be playing their best ball. So you can't go in expecting a national championship, but I'd say it's safe to say I'm expecting a College World Series appearance this year for sure.
yeah. And I think Vol Nation would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. But Will, I know you wanted to talk a little bit Husker spring game. Tennessee actually they weren't able to do a spring game this year. They had some spring scrimmages, closed practices, so I don't really have too much to talk about there. But Will, why don't you kind of run us through what you saw there?
Yeah, so I was super excited for the spring game. Like I said, I think there's 6 transfers that are starting on offense this year. I think that's going to be the move. Obviously, so it was hard to kind of gauge a whole lot, especially because the first half was just 2-hand touch. And when that happens, I think the main kind of dig at that is, especially in the run game, it's hard for the offense to get going in a run game because, a running back, if he's touched, he's down. And especially when we have one bigger back, specifically Jaquez Yant, who's kind of the bulldozer who just is there to pound through the line and everything. And it's like, you kind of have to use your imagination and think, okay, is this a run? He would have busted a couple tackles or gotten through those arm tackles and made a few guys miss or whatever. All that happens. But so I wasn't super impressed with anything. I don't think Husker fans could really say they got a lot out of it. Anyone who is super high or super low is probably wrong. The only thing I didn't like seeing was offensive line looked like it struggled. But going with that, a lot of the plays made against the offensive line were guys like Garrett Nelson, who might be the best player on the defense this year that could be an all Big Ten rush end. So you kind of you take that too. Okay, is this guy just playing really well and it's hard to block him, or is it the offensive line just getting pushed around? That's something I think Husker fans need to look out for, and most are paying attention to, is what's going on in the trenches. I will say it was enough for me to say, okay, look at some of these transfer guys on offense at the skill positions. A guy like Anthony Grant, who transferred in, who was I think he was the number 1 JUCO running back. He ended up having a 50 or 55-yard touchdown run, making a few guys miss really quick first step and in the backfield finding a lane. Excited about that. I will say we didn't really see a lot from Casey Thompson. I think he just played 1 series actually and completed his first row in a tight window, if nothing else. But really, Chubba Purdy, the other transfer from Florida State, Brock Purdy's little brother. Yeah, he was the one who I think Husker fans were pretty excited about. He made a bunch of really good throws.
He's good.
And he got the reps too, right? He got him and Smothers and some of the other lower quarterbacks got obviously a lot more reps, especially in the second half. So, good to see that these guys have talent at least. I'm trying to think of what else really stood out to me. Really, it was that offensive line mainly. I will say, saw the kicker shank a couple field goals, which has definitely had Husker fans moaning and groaning, I'm sure, in the stands. Because
here we go again.
if they can't get the kicker situation figured out, it's going to be it's going to be another long year. That's what lost us games last year.
Just gotta score touchdowns.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, but there were times where we'd miss extra points or get extra points blocked, and that screwed us over. So we'll see. I will say I think the transfer punter that we got, I want to say from Montana. I know it was an FCS program, but he was the number 1 punter in the FCS anyway. Did have like a 70-yard punt, so that the whole stadium erupted. And kind of going with that, the whole stadium, I think there was around 55,000 at the spring game. So again, another just kind of compliment to there's no place like Nebraska going to be packed for a spring game. Obviously not packed all the way, but 55,000 at a spring game when you're selling tickets too, usually. Good for Husker fans. Way to stick with the program. This is the year. That's all I have to say. You have to Frost. I did see a few Twitter threads asking what Husker fans would be satisfied with. And I'm really not going to be satisfied with anything less than 7 wins. Like 6 wins. I don't think I'm gonna call for Frost's head if he gets 6 wins, but I'm gonna say, look, it's probably not happening. If we only get 6 wins, they'll keep him around and we'll see what happens going forward. But I really hope you get to that 8-win mark. I mean, I'm hoping for a lot more than that. 7, though, I would be satisfied. I would say, okay, 7-5, decent season, especially considering how the past few years have gone. I'll take it. But
7-5 gets you another year to me. Like a 6-6 in year 6. Is this the year 6? 6-6 in
no, I think this is year 5, actually.
Year 5. So 6-6 in year 5 ain't it at Nebraska. So and that's, he's been given a new life almost. Like Scott Frost, he could have been fired and it would have been like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But they stuck with him because he is kind of their guy. And they want it, but this is your year to kind of really prove it. Like prove what you can kind of do, not just kind of peak. Like we need you to prove that we can compete at a higher level, like with you as our head coach. Like we need you to win 8-9 games to really show like, nah, I'm really trying to elevate the program to where we're. So I say anything under 8 is not too good. But that's kind of my expectations for Nebraska too. Like I'm saying, no, Nebraska is a really good program. They should be expecting to win 9 games a year. Like you win 9, like we kind of made fun of Bo Pelini there for a while, like 9 win, like wasn't he winning 9 wins? But having some 9-win seasons, yeah, that's what
that ain't bad.
Bringing those together is pretty impressive. And then, you got to elevate some and still kind of elevate too. Like I get why you can be unsatisfied with never elevating past that level kind of, but at the same time, there is something to like, so going out and winning, Nebraska is no stranger to winning 9, 10, 11 games in a season as a program. That's the level of their program. So why can't he have a season up to the level of their program? Like this is year 5, just because they had a disappointing year last year where the record is a little deceiving on where the level of their competition is. Like they're not arms and legs away from their competition last year. So like if they can elevate just a little bit, and you can make big improvements in a year with the way the transfer portal and everything works now, like you can make considerable roster additions that elevate your team just enough to win 60% of those games you kind of lost in the last little bit, and you have a really good year. So just my thought. I'm riding the Nebraska train, man. I'm riding the Huskers. Scott Frost. I'm on board. I don't know why. Haven't really proved me much, but I'm ready to roll again. It's a Frost warning. This is me issuing a Frost warning for the Big Ten West next year. I'm talking Huskers to the championship.
Dude, and you're not, as crazy as it sounds, you're not alone. I mean, people look at these Husker fans that are saying that and think they're crazy, but there is something to be said about, hey, you lost 1 game by more than 1 score, and that was it. And it was 10 to Ohio State, so credit to what you're saying. They're not arms and legs away, because there were a lot of games they almost won last year. And even the talent that you lost, you kind of replace with as good or better talent. You lose Adrian Martinez, which was kind of a mutual goodbye for both of them. And you come in with Casey Thompson. Hopefully he pans out. It's really going to come down to him. Maybe not as much as the offensive line. I'm really worried about that. But if Casey Thompson's good, you have a team that can win. You lost Samari Toure, who's going to the NFL, who is a transfer that was only there for a year, and you replace him with former 5-star and LSU starter Trey Palmer, who's coming in and looks good. That was a guy who I saw make a couple catches, and he looks good. He looks like he's going to take that starting receiver spot. So we'll see. I mean, I'm with you. If 9 wins is not crazy as it sounds, especially because the schedule is definitely easier this year and set up to be more forgiving because of the order it's in. You start off with a couple cupcakes, and like we said, it comes down to, well, you do play Northwestern the first game, but that was a team you actually dominated last year, so hopefully you can do it again. But again, that Oklahoma game, kind of the 3rd or 4th game of the year, is a lot what it comes down to. Can you come in when you play a big team and actually finally get that big win you've been searching for in the Frost era? Instead, I may have misspoken. It may actually be, I think it may be his 6th year now. Because I know his entire career and Adrian Martinez's career match up. He was there when Adrian was a freshman. So it may actually be a 6th year. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm always ready for football to get going. This is the time of year where it's fun that I can kind of follow baseball a little bit and get into that, especially. And then you got NBA and NHL playoffs, but I'm always ready for the fall to roll around and get football going. But yeah, Trushel, you said this at the beginning. Do you know what the reasoning was behind not having the spring game for Tennessee? I guess it has to do with Neyland's renovations.
Yeah, it had to do with Neyland's renovations. They were originally talking about doing it at Nissan Stadium, but just wasn't able to get it done. So they had some impromptu closed scrimmages and practices. So there wasn't really too much insight into those since it was closed off. But hey, at least we're getting out there, putting in work, still getting some reps in for the new guys. The biggest thing though, that I've heard, Tayven Jackson, that new quarterback that came in, he is heads and shoulders above where they want him to be at. And talking about he's fitting in exactly where they want him. And it could be, he could be now. Hendon Hooker's obviously going to be the starter next year, but we might have some QBs kind of in the back burner here getting ready to go. And that's always exciting.
Yeah, because that was one of the first guys Heupel went out and got when he came
Yeah.
to Tennessee, kind of like, hey, this guy is a guy that fits my offense. That'll be interesting with Nico coming in because, you know, even though Nico's a 5-star, has all the ability in the world, being in the offensive system for a year means a lot, just having the experience and knowing how to run it, everything. And if Tayven Jackson is, like you said, heads and shoulders above everyone, I mean, Vol fans shouldn't be surprised to see a QB battle going on there. Especially,
yeah, competition is always good, especially at the QB position.
Yeah, and you have to think, I mean, obviously this is all in the far future, but you have to think if Tayven Jackson works out, Nico may not work out. I mean, you're not going to keep a guy like him around for 4 years to play 1 year or whatever.
Yeah, because he'll transfer. But hey, maybe it turns into a Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Tua. We kind of get to see all three. And obviously Jalen Hurts transferred, but I don't know. Maybe somebody takes a step back and then it takes a big step forward their senior year, like a Joe Burrow. I don't know, but it's just good to have a lot of competition in the quarterback room for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I always get worried about stuff like that just because you get so worried about losing guys. But the bottom line is the best guy's going to play. So whoever is starting for you is the guy who's fit to play the position. So
100%.
But again, that's in the far future. We'll see how all that pans out. That's good to hear. I mean, you definitely want to hear young guys making strides and doing well.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for Vol football. We'll have more to talk about as recruiting kind of picks up steam here. So
yeah, guys, do we have anything else we really wanted to cover? Or did we get it all?
I think we got it all. We hit everything. Pretty good episode here. I like it.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening. This is Pay Dirt Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Food, fitness, travel, entertainment, anything you need. Go check them out, sixpackcoverage.com. Be sure to check out us on social media, Twitter at paydirt_sports. Like Trushel said earlier, lots of Twitter spaces. We're going to try and kind of input that into our brand a little more, get you all involved, get to talk to the listeners a little more. Check us out on Instagram at paydirtsports. And then be sure to check out the website, paydirtsports.blog. Guys, it's been fun. Thanks again. We'll see y'all next week.
Pay Dirt out.